I grew up on a farm between Reedley and Sanger. And I think some of the things that people would find hard to believe today is how hard times were in those days. Now, when the Depression came in 1932, I was 10 years old. To give you an idea of how things were, people used to work for 5 cents and 10 cents an hour. A dozen days were about 10 cents. And you go to the movie, I think the movies were about 10 cents then too. But people were glad to get to 10 cents because this was the Depression, and things really didn't get better until World War II.
So Dr. Collins explained to me that's how XXX was founded, because they could not join the fraternities the other people, so they started their own, which I think was a great idea.
Charlie told you just about everything that was Fresno. You know, there were a lot of negative things, a lot of hardship, but sometimes at night, as you get older, you stay awake. But I think of the nice things also. There was a challenge to go through what we went through. You know, when a minority, especially a very bright and minority who works hard, settles and becomes a majority in a culture somewhere, like America, there's apt to be animosity, jealousy, and so forth, but the Armenians had something. They had perseverance and a work ethic. Importance of church, and a very important family unit, which meant
when they would have strikes in these factories, the owner would use Armenians as strike breakers. So that in turn really generated a lot of animosity towards Armenians. But this is the only way they could survive, and people did what they had to do to survive. And you know, we had no school problem. I'll tell you why. Because the parents made sure their kids behaved, because they didn't want their kids to have a problem and then reflect on their ethnicity. So that's how it was. When you went to church in those days, and we used to go to the Ridley Church, all the women sat on one side and the men sat on the other side. That's how it was, and every woman had a scarf covering her head. And that's how things have changed now. But times were tough. I remember a priest came from Jerusalem to raise money. And there was a meeting in Reedley. And this was right in the middle of the Depression. And I think this small group of people were able to raise something like $50. And he was disappointed, but that's how tough the times were. And it's hard to look back and really visualize and understand what those people went through.